All right. Thank you for being, nice amplification too. Thank you for being here this morning. Very excited to be here alongside Visit Seattle and our Office of Economic Development. Council members Sarah Nelson and Andrew Lewis, thank you for being here, and all of you to celebrate another milestone that we believe reaffirms our strong commitment to a vibrant and thriving city, and in particular our downtown area. We don't suggest that we are anywhere remotely finished with the work we need to do, but our trajectory based on this kind of policy and our implementation looks very strong. This legislation we sort of sometimes describe as an evolution of the success that we have had with the Seattle Tourism Improvement Area, STIA. I'll refer to that as STIA, since it was formed in 2011. This particular legislation establishes a new 15-year business improvement area to strengthen our ability to market and promote Seattle for all visitors from around the country and around the world. This is a competency of ours, and we have some great minds and people and organizations around the city that are just doing an outstanding job. Additionally, this legislation, well, let me talk a little bit about who I want to give thanks for as well. I'm going to deviate a little bit from my notes. I want to thank Councilmember Sarah Nelson, first of all, for leadership in shepherdizing this legislation through Council to a unanimous vote supporting this effort. And there's something always sexy about unanimous votes when I say that, so I want to bring a particular attention to that, and thank you, Sarah Nelson. I want to thank Councilmember Andrew Lewis for, again, looking at these issues in the downtown area, his particular district, and making sure that he is there, putting his DNA on these efforts and making sure that he is a strong supporter of what we're trying to do here. So I want to thank Councilmember Andrew Lewis as well. Thank you, Councilmember Lewis. Yes. So when something works, we embrace it, we support it, we expand it, we look at it, and we try to develop outcomes that are even better than the success we initially achieved. And that's what this effort is all about, trying to bolster our tourism economy and position Seattle as a must-visit destination and expand Visit Seattle's footprint as they market our Emerald City to the world. And many of you have heard me say that one of the jobs as mayor is I have to be the cheerleader of this city. I have to believe it in my heart that not only are we a world-class city, but we are distinct in so many ways. And I talk about our compassion, our innovation, our spirit here. And I think that we parlay that imagery, if you will, and our substance with these kinds of policies. So this summer, we saw millions of visitors and tourists in downtown Seattle. And in August, we saw the highest number of hotel rooms sold downtown since the summer of 2019. This summer, Seattle showed what we're capable of when we host major events successfully, like the Major League Baseball All-Star Game. When I start talking about baseball, I do get a little sad that the Mariners' season's over, so I have to keep a calm demeanor when I talk about baseball. But we're still very proud of the Mariners, I might add. Not that anyone cares, but still proud of the effort that they did demonstrate. The Taylor Swift concert, Beyonce, these types of concerts and festivals, the events on the pier, so much activity, again, showing that we are a vibrant, rebounding city on a right trajectory. So by expanding Visit Seattle's ability to market business and conference travel, we are positioning ourselves to attract tourists year-round to host their conventions at our beautiful convention center, stay at our hotels, support our local businesses, enjoy everything that our wonderful city has to offer. Summit, this convention center, ought to be core to these efforts. This place is special and a cornerstone in our vision for a reimagined downtown. The other day, my wife and I walked for an event last weekend, and she just marveled at everything about this beautiful structure. It allows us to see the city through many new lenses and brings people together from all over the world. Summit is defined by the amazing staircase. I think that's right around me here, and it is certainly an inspiring staircase. And so signing this law into the law that I will to do is just another step toward our downtown activation plan. Well, this is a sort of a few, I want to say this a little better because it was written better than I'm saying it. And this is my close, by the way. I got to have a strong close. Summit is defined by an amazing staircase. And signing this law on today is another step toward our downtown activation plan and another step toward our why are you guys laughing when I say this? You get the step analogy here. Step toward our revitalization goals and another step towards cementing Seattle as a world-class destination for tourism and businesses. And I sort of like to play on the word step because when I think about steps, I think about the progression that we're trying to do. So we're going to have a few speakers, and I'll introduce each one. I'd like to first introduce Councilmember Sarah Nelson, who again, really want to thank her for her leadership that we're able to pass this law, and I want to thank her for her support for downtown and small businesses and a thriving economy for all. Her personal experience, her professional experience as a small business owner, looking at policies through that lens is certainly paying dividends. So I present to you Councilmember Sarah Nelson.
Am I the only one that was thinking about Stairway to Heaven? Anyway, just kidding. So when property owners come to us and ask for permission to tax themselves to fund services, our job is to say yes and grant that permission. That's frankly what BIAs do. Business improvement areas, of which STIA is one, are a vital economic development tool, and this piece of legislation is no exception. So it's not just the ratepayers, the hotels that benefit through through more revenue for promoting the hotels who need the business in the off season. It's really true that summer is great, but then February happens. But it also benefits downtown, and the city as a whole thanks very much to the work that Visit Seattle does, producing all the promotional videos and events that put Seattle on the map. And frankly, this legislation was a no-brainer because the conversion of the assessment that hotels are voluntarily charging their guests to a percentage of a nightly fee puts us in better line with the neighboring cities with whom we compete fiercely for that competition, Portland being one. So that was an easy move. And then, of course, we need to allow for that revenue to be used to promote our brand new gorgeous Summit building and the convention center as a whole. And that was a conundrum last year when we were trying to figure out how do we provide more funding for the convention center to promote itself. I co-sponsored a budget item that didn't fly to do that, and this legislation solved that problem. So I just want to extend my thanks to everybody who made this happen. This was a team effort, first of all, starting with the mayor's office and OED for putting the legislation together and making sure that it got on our calendar so we could do this before budget. And then also, of course, Visit Seattle and the Convention Center, and most importantly, let's bring it back to the ratepayers whose decision to willingly put another fee on their guest's check is what makes all of the promotion, all of the great work that Visit Seattle does to promote not just hotels, not just downtown, but neighborhood businesses all over the city and the city as a whole to the rest of the world, to both the leisure market and the business travel market. Because really, when it comes to a small business, it doesn't matter who's writing the check for that dinner. It all helps our small businesses downtown. So thank you very much, everybody, for coming and your interest.
Thank you, Councilmember Nelson. Before I introduce our next speaker, I just want to recognize Marshall Foster, head of our Seattle Center and Civic Spaces here. Marshall Foster, we owe him decades of thanks for the work that he's been doing as a strong leader, extremely effective. Thank you for being with us, Marshall. Our next speaker is the CEO, Tammy Canavan. Visit Seattle President and CEO Tammy Canavan. A little bit about her background. Tammy, if I could be so bold as to call her there, has been the CEO Tammy Blount Canavan. Her career has spanned 30-plus years in 2 countries. She received many honors, including being recognized as the CEO of the Year, one of the 25 most influential people in the meetings industry, twice on one of the 25 most influential women in the industry. She's a great partner in the efforts to ensure Seattle is a thriving business and tourism destination. I also found out in talking to her earlier, she's a member of the International Women's Forum, a great organization my wife belongs to as well. And thank you, Tammy, for your strong leadership. I present to you Tammy Canavan.
So, a reimagined downtown. Today we celebrate a reimagined STIA that will enable Seattle to better invest in growing our tourism economy on a more competitive level with other major cities. Well, this legislation is a key part of the Downtown Activation Plan. The changes being implemented really do set us up for long-term success, and they help lift all of our neighborhoods and our businesses year-round. Nearly 61,000 of our neighbors go to work in tourism every day. They work in hotels and convention centers, and they also work in food and beverage and arts and culture, and they drive Ubers, and they work in retail. Or perhaps they have a business at Pike Place Market, or South Lake Union, or up in the U District. Visitors spent $7.3 billion with a B dollars in our local economy in 2022. That equates to an average of more than $20 million a day in King County. State and local taxes paid by visitors means that we, as residents, get a tax break of $775 per year per household. The tourism industry makes the dreams of entrepreneurs possible. It brings vitality to our streets, it leaves legacies we get to enjoy as residents, and it supports Seattle's values of innovation and inclusivity. On behalf of the Visit Seattle team, we thank our elected officials, the many staff at City Hall who seriously busted a move to make this possible, and the ratepayers who overwhelmingly support this initiative. Now, we have work to do, a lot of it, to invite and welcome visitors and conventions from around the globe who support our economy and continue to improve the quality of life for Seattle residents.
Thank you, Tammy. Thank you, Tammy. Thank you, Tammy. Our next speaker is Juliana Sperenberg, and next, by way of introduction, she is the chair of the Seattle Tourism Improvement Area Board, and she also serves as the area hotel manager of Citizen M SLU. Juliana.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the Seattle Tourism Improvement Area Ratepayers, or STIA ratepayers, I can confidently say that we are absolutely thrilled about this legislation and extend our heartfelt thanks to the city staff and officials for their prompt support in moving this forward. Back in spring, we received an outpouring of support from our hotel colleagues as we collected petitions. The STIA, established in 2011, has consistently proven its value to our community from the get-go. Our mission is to enhance the leisure visitation in Seattle, and has been a resounding success. Over the past 12 years, we've had the privilege of inviting people from all corners of the world to experience Seattle's charm. With this new legislation, we're on the brink of elevating our efforts further, expanding both the leisure and convention markets, which will bring significant economic and social advantages to our beloved city. We want to express our deep appreciation to Councilmember Nelson for her dedicated leadership in guiding this legislation through the committee. Additionally, we are grateful to the Office of Economic Development for their unwavering faith in this transformation. Mayor Harrell, your unwavering commitment to nurturing a lively downtown that caters to residents and visitors alike has not gone unnoticed or unappreciated. Today marks the commencement of an exciting new chapter in Seattle's story, filled with promise, opportunities, and a shared commitment to making our city an even more exceptional place to live and visit. Thank you, everyone, and let's look forward to a brighter future as we unite our efforts.
Thank you, Gianna. Our last speaker is Lindy Hensley. Lindy Hensley is the co-founder of Bite Society, a Pike Place market company born during the pandemic, offering curated modern foods and a gift basket for all occasions. Lindy, take it over.
All right. Thank you. Well, thank you. Yes, as the mayor said, my company is Bite Society. We have a kitchen in South Lake Union where we make cookies, chips, snacks, and we're very fortunate to be in Pike Place Market. I am the beneficiary of this because as a small business owner last year when I got in the market, I didn't understand what visitors were going to do for my business. So they talk to me, I tell them my story, I give them cookies to try, please come down and see me. And they buy from me, they take it home, and then a great thing happens. They get online and they buy more from me. They tell their friends, they tell their family, and it's growing my business in a way that I could never do without them. So to everyone who did this, I am eternally grateful and extremely lucky. And the last thing I want to share is I am a one-woman focus group at the market. You see me, I ask you where you're from, I ask you what brings you to Seattle, what do you love about it? People love this city. Honest to God, I feel so lucky to be there, so lucky to be sort of an ambassador of the market. And so I want to thank you all. I really appreciate it.
Bite Seattle, that comes from Bite Seattle. See, I'm going to promote Bite Seattle for the great work she's doing. So we're going to sign the legislation, and they'll be more than happy to take some questions after we sign the legislation. All right. These pins, after we sign, they go on eBay for about $100 a piece. All right. Okay.
Thank you.
I don't know who to give them out to. I'm going to put someone in charge. Cindy, you get one? Everyone who spoke, actually.
Right behind you.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much.
Just work. Thank you there, Mr. Okey dokey. Great stuff.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any questions that you have for any of the speakers, including myself? And if not, Chris, please. Chris Daniels.
I just have one, Mayor.
Yes.
It's pretty easy to understand how this tax on rooms will benefit tourism promotion, but how does it promote physical changes downtown as part of your activation plan?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So a lot of people have to understand that as the formula changed, we also could promote this particular building as an example to get more people here. The monies that we receive from out of state, they go right into our general fund for many things, all of our revenue streams. And so based on the recent legislation that was passed, coupled with our community-based strategies, all of this is sort of goes into the revenue streams that will help this city. And then we have to convert revenues from the city into action. So this is one of many revenue streams that we use to promote the city, to make sure that we can keep our city safe and protect the needs of our residents and employees here.
Mayor, do you want to talk about how bringing people downtown also is part of that activation?
Yeah, part of our theory that's actually based on criminology theories and just urban theory is bring people into an area and activate the area. Foot traffic, activation, liveliness. This serves as a crime deterrent as well. And so what you also realize is that the more people we bring, it helps toward our cause. And we have to, I fully understand the fact that you don't want anyone to be in harm's way. So the increased foot traffic is part of our downtown activation plan. This legislation, again, I want to thank Councilmember Nelson as well. This kind of legislation helps us activate the area as well.
So you're saying foot traffic helps with public safety?
Yes. Let me say that you guys only use like 30 seconds. Foot traffic helps with public safety. Any other questions? Yes.
What is being done to ensure safety on buses for riders and drivers?
Yeah. Just for those that didn't hear the question is bus safety for passengers and drivers. So I think most people know that falls into the King County purview that run Metro. And I've met with leaders of the Union, Amalgamated Transit 587, and others to understand this is a serious issue. I've talked to too many people that use the bus as their primary sole means of transportation. And so again, our police officers coordinate with Metro Security the concerns on transit areas, the bus stops. Now that's why we mentioned specifically transit areas in my executive order when we talked about what our police officers should be mindful about, particularly dealing with drug use. But inside the bus, that again remains with the purview of the county, and I think they are well aware of the challenges that they are facing, and I have confidence that they will address it satisfactorily.
Can you give us in a nutshell exactly how this legislation will work?
Sure. The legislation itself is a change of formula, for example, that without getting too far in the weeds, that at one point we sort of did it on a flat fee. And this formula sort of changes it, has a little more pliability on it, and it allows some flexibility in how it's spent. For an example would be this Summit building, for example, is one use on how to promote it. So it allows the revenue receiver, in this case, the city, to have more flexibility in how they charge, which the net effect of it will generate more in revenue for us. And I want to thank the flexibility of the hotel industry and the hoteliers and the other folks in the tourism industry for helping us sort of figure this out collectively and collaboratively. This is how we had come about this new legislation, this new policy.
So can
Yes.
you break it down for us and tell us how the tax will work? I'm not sure that I understand it.
Okay, I may call on someone else that I could hum a few bars, but if someone wants to save their favorite mayor, that wouldn't be mad.
Let's bring up the head of the Ratepayer Advisory Board as well. So I'll get us there, and then you can knock it home. Okay. So basically, this is a public-private partnership because the city staffs the STIA and the STIA and collects the revenues and then disperses it to Visit Seattle, I believe, for use in their promotions. And so we staff the OED staffs the organization and then make sure that the funds come in and go out to the right people. And the Ratepayer Advisory Board makes sure that, everything is by the book, and then you spend it in the best way you can. So fill in whatever details I've missed.
So essentially, the collections are performed by the hotels, as Councilmember Nelson outlined. It is a percentage rate, 2.3% per occupied room night. So if your rate is $100, then you're paying $2.30 per night as a levy. It is not a tax, it is an assessment. It gets collected by the city and it sits in an account there. We have to spend the money first in order to be reimbursed for it, but there are checks and balances around that. So a budget and a business plan is developed. It is vetted and monitored by a Ratepayer Advisory Board of 11 members, of which Jeriana is the chair. Each year, the budget must be approved by a majority of the ratepayers themselves, so it all has to be in tune with the business improvement area assessment ratepayers. And then as we spend that money in accordance with that business plan, it gets submitted to the city. They do a check and balance to make sure that's in accordance with the bylaws. So the Treasury Department at the city and the OED through their business improvement area oversight, and that network is how it works.
Do we know what the average price of a hotel room is in downtown right now?
Depends kind of on the season. But you can be comfortable saying it's going to be between $200 and $300 per night.
Would it be accurate to say that the user of the hotel room is the 100% generator of this fund?
The question is it accurate to say, well, let me just give you the soundbite. The users of a hotel are 100% the supporters of this levy. That is not a tax on any kind of local service or local resident unless they get to stay in a hotel, in which case they would also support the levy. There are certain groups that are exempt from it if they are exempt from taxation in general, but the assessment is only charged on ratepayers that, or on guests that stay in a hotel. So the question is, what's the difference in how we can spend the money? Originally, in 2011, the STIA was set up for leisure marketing. At the time, there were not enough funds to market Seattle as a leisure destination, so this was set up specifically for that. And the rules around how we spent the money were very distinct and strict. It did not allow us to spend any money on anything that was not pure leisure, so not even rent or overhead for staff or equipment for people that are not part of the pure leisure. So the new rules, effective January 1st for those collections, allow us to make smart decisions depending on what the opportunities are. So we can spend that money on convention sales and marketing. We can spend it on business travel, corporate travel, and again, all that goes to the ratepayers for their approval before we go ahead and do that.
What do we say to people who live outside of the specific Seattle area that come into town on the weekend? They're going to see a show, they're going to see a game, they want to get a hotel room, they're going to spend the night or spend the weekend here. Now they're looking at having to spend more. What's the message for them?
This levy is not very different from what other cities have, so it wouldn't be a shock. It does elevate a little bit of the taxes and fees, but before we went to the 2.3%, why wouldn't it be 2.5% or 3%? Is because we did a study to make sure that we were still competitive with other cities on the total taxes, fees, and assessments that would be charged in any other major urban destination in the United States.
All right. Thank you, Tammy.
Good.
Tammy's on a roll there. I enjoyed that. Well done, Tammy. Well done. Well done. Well done. This will be my last question. Go ahead.
For Metro, have you increased security? Where are they?
Have I increased? So again, just to be clear, I don't dodge questions. The security within the bus system is in the purview of the county. So those questions would be better directed at the King County Council or the King County Executive Dow Constantine. So I can't speak to their increase in security. I am aware of the increased problems that have surfaced, and so I can't speak to what adjustments they've made.
This week, people are
Who's
encouraged.
texting?
It's
No,
just yeah, right. This week, people are encouraged to ride public transportation. Do you think it's safe?
Okay, can you repeat that question again, please?
This week, people are encouraged to use public transit. Do you think it's safe?
Yeah. Public transit is not as safe as I'd like to see it. We can do more, and we will do more. I'm confident that the county, whose jurisdiction is over buses, I'm confident that they are hearing the concern of the public to make sure transit is safe. This not only applies to Metro Transit, but Sound Transit as well, of which I sit on the board. And I know for a fact that the safety concerns of Sound Transit are brought to the board and to the CEO regularly to make sure that it is a safe transit experience. We have to lead in safety on our transit lines if we were to push transit as one of our climate strategies to defeat climate change. We have to make sure it's safe for everyone. So I'm not satisfied with the level of safety, and we hear the public loudly and clearly. Thank you. Thank you for the questions. Everyone have a great day. Okay, thank you.